Would Batman and Punisher get along with each other if they had met and had an established relationship? This video is going to answer that. This is a series I kind of want to make where heroes from different medias meet and see if their ideologies would match up with each other and if they would get along with each other. For this video, we'll be discussing, obviously, Batman and the Punisher, two of my favorite comic book characters, and just to see if they would get along with each other. So let's just jump into it. So, it should be pretty obvious why I picked these two characters. Two characters from different universes with completely different ideologies. You know, Punisher is all about killing his enemies to make sure they can't hurt anyone ever again, whereas Batman has his famous no-killing rule. Before I get into the details of the video, I just want to point out that the Batman and Punisher have had a crossover with each other all the way back in 1994, I believe. I think it was a two-part issue. I could be wrong on that, but it kind of answers the question for us already in the sense that they don't get along with each other. But I feel that since it was such a long time ago when that was made, and that it's sort of an Elseworld story, I wanted to make a video anyway, like discussing my personal thoughts on it. So if you want to read that comic, look it up. It's called Batman Punisher Lake of Fire. It's a pretty good read. I read it a long time ago, but I remember enjoying it. Now, let's just start with Batman, alright? Batman has his famous no-killing rule. And his reason for it is that if he starts killing at one, he won't stop. And he believes he will become the very thing he fights against. You know, we see this in Batman Under the Red Hood, the infamous movie. Batman kind of lets us know why he has his no-killing rule there. Batman has had a lot of interactions with other vigilantes too that do kill their enemies. A perfect example of this is Red Hood. Someone he's worked with and considers family, but is a vigilante that kills. Batman tells him that it's not the right way, and he hates that Red Hood does do it, but Batman still cares for Jason Todd. What this shows me, and why I bring it up, is that even though Batman has his disagreements with people, even as drastic as like a killing for no killing rule, he still cares for those specific people regardless, and he tries to negotiate, or I mean not really negotiate, but just like talk with them about it, you know?
You don't understand. I don't think you've ever understood.
What? What, your moral code just won't allow for that? It's too hard to cross that line?
No! God almighty, no! It'd be too damned easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by when I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others, and then end him.
Aw, so you do think about me.
But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back.
Now let's look at the Punisher. I honestly don't think the Punisher would give a crap about like what someone's moral code is, you know? Unless you get in the way of his work. Punisher doesn't just make it a point that he kills, you know? He makes it his whole personality. Because Frank Castle's like whole thing is that he wholeheartedly believes that evil can't disappear unless you take them down for good. It's like it's not even like he necessarily enjoys killing. It's just a genuine belief. Like, you can't get rid of evil unless you just kill them so they can't get back up. Whether you follow him in that belief or not, he wouldn't care. But we've seen that if you like get in the way of what he does, he will take you down. We saw this in Daredevil season 2, you know, where Daredevil interfered with Frank Castle and it led them to have that amazing argument. Anyone who's seen the show knows what I'm talking about. You know, the scene where Matt and Frank are on that rooftop talking about their no-killing rule versus killing ideologies, which, you know, relates to this video heavily, I'd say.
I think that this world, it needs men that are willing to make the hard call. That's what I think. I think you and me are the same. We're the same. You know it. Only I do the one thing that you can't. You hit them and they get back up. I hit them and they stay down.
So the question would be is, would Batman and Punisher get along if they had to share the same universe with each other? The short answer would be it would depend on the comic book writer if you want to answer it like that. Kind of like the crossover back in 1994, but that's a really lame answer and no one wants to hear that. So what I believe though is that it would first depend on how they first meet. If, let's say there was a scenario where Punisher was going after a Batman villain, you know, and Batman interfered, then it would lead to a huge fight that would put them at odds with each other and they would probably hate each other. I don't think Punisher would kill Batman at all, because Punisher only hurts people who deserve it. I mean, like, kills people who deserve it. But I think it would put like an initial strain on the relationship that would make them kind of hate each other from that point on. And then, you know, could lead to that killing for no killing argument, those kind of things. I do think if they were to meet each other under normal circumstances, though, I think Batman would be more resentful towards Punisher. Because yes, Batman has had a similar situation with Red Hood, but Red Hood is family, where Punisher would be a stranger. I think Batman would have a cold shoulder for Punisher. Like, he obviously wouldn't agree with his methods, and he would try to keep him out of team operations and try to steer away from Frank as much as he can. So, like, unless Frank is in Gotham City, I don't even think Batman would try to contact Frank. I think he would obviously know about Punisher and, like, what he's doing, because Batman's just all about learning everything that he can, right? But if Frank isn't in Gotham, I don't think Batman would really try to interact with him. If Frank was in Gotham, then Batman would stop Frank from wreaking havoc in his city. I think for Frank, he honestly wouldn't give a shit about what Batman thinks. I don't think Frank cares about what anyone thinks of him. And he would likely notice that Batman is probably trying to avoid him, and if he does notice that, Frank wouldn't even care. He would just probably do the same, you know? But if Batman messes with him trying to fight against criminals, then Punisher would probably get in that fight and, you know, then interact with Batman, and then they would have that strained relationship. But because overall though, what I would think would happen is that they would hate each other at first, essentially, but they would probably likely tolerate each other and perhaps even like respect each other as time went on. I think Batman would have more of a disinterest towards Frank than Frank would towards Bats, because I think Batman has stronger feelings towards these kind of rules, whereas Punisher, like, if you don't kill somebody, if you're someone that doesn't have like a no killing rule, it doesn't really matter to Frank that much. But if Batman's interacting with a character of someone that claims to do good, but they're killing somebody, I think that would hit Batman more. You know, that's just me. You have to remember that Frank has had relationships with people with those with the no killing rule, like Daredevil and Spider-Man, and he grew to consider them friends. You know, with Batman, it would be different because Batman has a darker, more brooding personality than those other two characters, and Batman's just way more controlling in that sense. But I think in the end, they would likely tolerate and respect each other. But they would likely try to stay out of each other's way as much as possible. I think Batman would make it clear that Punisher wouldn't be allowed in Gotham City, because then Punisher would just go on a killing spree, and Batman's really territorial, and he wouldn't like that. And I think Punisher, in the end, would respect that and stay away from it. And with that respect, I think they would try to stay out of each other's way. But if they did cross paths and, like, you know, outside of Gotham and they needed to work with each other, I think they would do that. And I think they would, you know, have that sort of mutual respect. But I think their relationship would be strained and they would kind of hate each other at first. You know, that's just my thoughts though. Let me know what you think in the comments. I was just really interested to see. I know there was like crossover comic, like I said, but like I said, it was such a long time ago, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it because I think that comic, you know, it's just a little outdated. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Please support the video as much as you can, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, people.